Welcome to the Give It a Nudge podcast. Thanks for joining us. Each week, you're going to hear stories from founders, VCs, and private equity leaders from across the industry. We hope that these stories are going to give you insights to help you on your journey, and we'd love you to be part of our community. So please hit that subscribe button, and let's get on with the show. Welcome to Give It a Nudge. Very special guest this week. I am very happy to have a good friend of mine, Anthony Minichiello, on the show. I've been trying to get him on for quite some time, but he has been busy, which we're going to hear about. So, Mini, welcome to the show, finally.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for having me, mate. It's good to see you.
It is good to see you.
Yeah, we see each other in social circles, but it's good to be...
It's been a while, though. I haven't seen you since before Christmas.
I know. Been laying low, but we've got to catch up, mate.
Well, let's talk about where you're at. So you've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. But before we get into that, we're launching this in line with the new NRL season launching.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm sure many people know, but some may not, that you played for the Roosters for how many years?
19 years.
I think got legend status is the rumour, I think.
Long time.
Yeah, was it that long?
Yeah, well, I signed in 1996. I was 16 and I retired.
Did you sign at 16?
Yeah, I was in year 10. Out at Liverpool Patrician Brothers, and I got signed by the Roosters at 16, and then I retired at 34 in 2014. So a long time.
No, I didn't move here till 99 in London.
There you go.
You were already signed?
I was already signed, yeah.
When was your first game?
First grade game was the year 2000. I was 19, and we ended up doing pretty well that year. We made the grand final, and obviously the Olympics were on that year, so the season started a lot sooner to finish for the Olympics. And so we played out at Homebush with the huge big stadium, the wings.
Had the wings on.
Yeah, so we had like 96,000 people there. That was the biggest crowd to play that. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's got to be the biggest crowd you've ever had for an NRL game, isn't it?
In Australia, definitely.
That's awesome. And so we'll come on to all of your entrepreneurial sort of things that you're into now. Yeah. What I want to touch on is, and I've had this conversation with some other athletes, do you think having a professional sports career is inducive to going into entrepreneurship? What do you think? Because you go into a system, right?
Yeah.
It's not anything like the army or the police or even a corporate. It's a different system, but you're given quite a lot of, I guess, autonomy to have your own, like to be responsible for yourself as a professional. Do you think that that's something that has impacted you? Because you went on, as we just found out, at 16, which is super young.
I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? So you go into a professional sport, and you're judged weekly on your performance.
Yep.
And you review your performance on a weekly basis. So sometimes that doesn't even happen in business, right?
Never, not weekly.
Yeah, weekly, daily at training by your coaching staff, you're reviewed, and then weekly you're reviewed by anyone watching, the public, right? And everyone can have a say.
And they're brutal, right?
Yeah, they're brutal. But you sort of learn how to sort of improve on a daily basis, or take constructive criticism on. So that's a huge benefit I think when you finish and you're going into business or entrepreneurship. Then the other side is lots of things are already done for you, right? So, you go into the change room, everything's pristine, ready, sorted for you. You go to an airport, all you have to do is throw your bag down and all the cards are filled in, everything's done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everything's done, right? All the teams now are getting new offices and centre of excellences, and then there's towel service, there's chefs cooking for them, that's the way professional sport is, and it has to go that way. But then when you retire, some people struggle because they've relied on that, and now they've got to do their own diary. Now they can do whatever they want. They're not abided by the schedule. So some people struggle with that. But if you have a good, strong routine, and you're always striving for something better, which most of the players do, then you can transform that. And if you're passionate about something else, and this is where people struggle with professional sport, is after you finish and retire, they don't have a passion for something else that they really love. Well, I was fortunate, and we'll probably talk about some of the injuries that I went through and why I started my businesses. I've become passionate about nutrition and lifestyle and health So that's what I'm doing now. But I can see how any sportsman, not just people that play rugby league, how they can struggle after they finish, because it's, it's the best job in the world. You're traveling with your mates, you train with your mates every day.
Yep.
You travel the world and you play a game and you earn good money. How good's that?
And everything's done for you.
Yeah.
Even with cards, which is the really annoying part of traveling.
That was all filled in for you. It was just handed to you, and you throw your bag down as soon as you go to the international airport and you go have breakfast and coffee with the boys.
That's not too bad at all, is it?
Yeah.
So let's talk about you played for a long time, right?
Yeah.
It's a brutal sport. It's such physical contact, right? You're not the biggest player on the pitch.
No.
Never were, right?
No.
Luckily you were quick. But
yeah, that's right.
But you did sustain injuries, and even if you hadn't have sustained like changing injuries, your body's just going to get beaten up. So let's talk about your injuries, because they had a massive impact. What stage of your career did they really start to impact you?
It was the mid part of my career. So, as I mentioned, I signed at the Roosters at 16, come 3 years in the lower grades, made my first grade at 19, year 2000. But I didn't really get a serious injury until 2006. So I had a strong foundation built up through
your body.
Yeah, through where I grew up. I grew up on a farm, southwest Sydney, outside of Preston's, which is not farmland anymore.
Nope.
But we had our own cows, chickens, eggs, fruit trees, veggie patches. Italian heritage, right? So that the whole sort of culture is to grow your own, cook your own. Mum's a pretty darn good cook, so she used to cook all that whole food nutrition up. So we would eat what we were growing on the farm, right?
Doesn't get any better than that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And we didn't know the huge benefits of that until I've now studied it and realised, look, the way we ate as a kid, that built a strong foundation for myself to play professional sport, just to be healthy.
Is that a lifelong? Is it a life changer? Like if you eat well at that as a young age, does that impact your life?
Well, now I look back, younger brother, younger sister, we never got sick. We played so many different sports, never got injured, just happy, active kids, right? So the childhood was great. Yeah. And then you build up a healthy and robust immune system just from eating natural foods, right? So, but when I signed at the Roosters, I moved out of home at 18.
Yep.
And moved into the east, right?
And where did you live?
So I lived everywhere. I lived at...
where did you start though?
I started with a Kiwi mate of mine who was in the team at Marrickville.
Yeah.
And then we went to Maroubra. Then I moved in with Luke Ricketson, which was a fun time at Clovelly. And we still got close to the Bondi. And I spent 14, 15 years in Bondi.
How was your diet during that period?
Shocking. So, I'll say in the early 2000s, there was a huge drinking culture in the game.
Yes.
Right. And it was just part and parcel of what every team did. After every game, it was beers. And if you weren't out with the team, it was like, where the hell were you? That was the
And they don't
culture.
do that now, do they?
No,
to that extent.
No, nowhere near it. They pick and choose times where they have a beer, because I think that's important for bonding and team morale and all that type of stuff. But we used to do it every weekend without fail. And if you played on a Friday night, you'll do it all weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And train your butt off all week and then play arguably the toughest game in the world again. But, we had nutritionists and dietitians on board as well. And they were just telling me, mate, you're one of the lucky ones because you are lean naturally. You've got good genes and good genetics from your parents and grandparents. So, when you're in your early 20s and you get told that, you think you're bulletproof.
Of course you do.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I could eat whatever I wanted. I could take whatever prescription drug I wanted. I could drink as much alcohol as I wanted. I was still fitter than everyone because I grew up naturally active and I could run all day. So that's what I was burning the candle at both ends for 6 years.
It's a long time. It's a long
But I had that strong foundation. That's why I didn't get injured for 6 years. I didn't get one soft tissue injury or one broken bone for the first 6 years of my career. And
you feel even more bulletproof, right?
That's right. That did. It made me feel even more bulletproof. And I could do whatever I wanted. But it all come crashing down in 2006. Well, in 2005, I had some flare-ups in my lower back where I would just have huge spasms and I couldn't move for a few hours.
I've had a lot of back.
Then it went to a day. Then it went to 2 days. Then it went from that to getting guided cortisones in hospital on a Monday, playing on a Friday night, all that type of stuff, right? And then until 2006, I was playing with a ruptured disc in my lower back.
And was that normal for you? Was that
it's everyone plays through pain and injuries in the NRL. It's just the whole playing with, you got to be
how can
tough
you
to
not?
play the sport. It's just, you're just geared to just go out there, just play through the plane. And in 2006, I got selected to play for Australia in the Anzac Day test, and do all the testing, do your shoulders, bend down, touch your toes. And Tony Ayub, our physio at the time, I was bending down, touch my knees, and this sharp pain would just dig down all the way down to my leg, left leg. And he goes, mate, go down and touch your toes. I said, mate, I can't, but I'll be right.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'll be sweet. As soon as I warm up, it fades away, don't worry. And he kept asking questions. He goes, look, Minnie, I can't let you play like this, mate. He ruled me out and sent me to a specialist. And I had a ruptured disc in my L5S1, the lowest disc in my back. And that was the start of lots of injuries. So I got an operation. I didn't make it back for that year. 2007, I played 10 games, and I was in camp for the Blues for game 2. And I literally just roll out of bed and put my socks on and hear this click, and severe nerve pain down the right leg, the opposite leg this time. Get ruled out of that game, go back up to St Vincent's Hospital, and they said, look, the disc above has ruptured, done the same thing. Do you want to come back and play contact sport? And I was like, well, I'm 27, of course. Because I'll have to do a bit of a smaller operation. This is your second back operation. So I do that, take the rest of the year off. I come back in 2008, and I think I only played 6 games. I had a huge disc bulge in my neck. And that was just done on the bench press. Nothing on field. None of the injuries were on field.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah. And then I rehabbed that. And that's when I started to realise I had 3 spine injuries in 3 years. Something had to change.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting up at the St Vincent's again, because I was quite a regular back in that time. And they MRI'd my whole back, and every single disc of mine was black. And the verdict was, look, I don't think you should play a contact sport with this back. And I said, why? He said, well, in a healthy spine, they should be white.
Every single.
Yeah. They're your cushioning system for running, sprinting, grappling, all that type of stuff. All of them are black. They're dehydrated. This is why they start to rupture and bulge. And I asked the question, I said, well, okay, how do I fix it? How do I rehydrate my disc again? And, the professionals was like, it's pretty hard to rehydrate one, let alone all of them. And I went to another professional, because we got access to the best as a professional team. You get in quite easily. And they were all saying the same thing. And I was lucky I actually met Terry through this period just before that. And she was always pushing me to go find answers, saying, but you got to find out the reasons why. Why is your disc black and someone else's isn't?
Yeah.
That question why kept ringing in my head. So I just went on this search and quest to try and find answers. Conventional, holistic, everything. And I found one guy who's a good mate of mine now, Aaron McKenzie of Origin Energy. Functional training studio, ties in a lot of nutrition and health and recovery into his programs. I sat down with him and he started asking me questions. He didn't ask me one question about my injury or how do I do it or
just lifestyle.
Or footy. It was all lifestyle questions at the time, which I thought was weird. But now I knew what he was getting at. What did you eat as a kid? How'd you grow up? All these questions. And he said to me, you can repair your spine if you're willing to make some sacrifices and do things consistently. So I was pretty much invested in that because I was broken.
Yeah.
And I started working with him once a week, and he'll give me a training program, a functional movement training program. And I was taking my phone into the Roosters gym and putting it up there and doing all the cable stuff. And, back in 2008 in rugby league, it was, heavy lifting. Who could bench press?
Did you get some grief?
Yeah, 100%. What's Minnie doing this weird shit in the corner for? But I had 3 spine injuries in 3 years, so the Roosters were pretty good to me and sort of let me run my own race and do what I felt like I was doing the right thing. So I started working with Aaron mid-2008 to recover from the neck and the back, and I start the 2009 season. I'm down in Canberra. It's only round 2, and I do all my ligaments in my left ankle. And I heard this huge crack because of the rotation injury. I thought I broke my ankle. And the physio comes on and he goes, oh, mate, can you walk on it? And this is the start of the game, so your adrenaline is high, right?
Yeah.
So I got up and shit, maybe it's all right. So I walked off, I hobbled off to the wing, and there's a scrum, it was their feed. They drop the ball, it gets passed out to me, and I'd run and score this try, and I'll get corked on the opposite leg.
Oh.
So I'll get up and I'm hobbling on both legs, and I went to the trainer, I think I'm done. I walked off the field normally, but still had pain in both legs. Sat in the change room, I just took a breath, and my left leg just blew up like a balloon. And I was like that, and they had to give me a shot of morphine, and all the 3 major ligaments that hold the tib and fib together all ruptured.
Jesus.
And then a week after, I was saying, look, I'm still sore under my knee. So they x-rayed my knee and I had a spiral fracture in my fibula, a smaller bone. So I was out for 22 weeks.
It's a long time. It's a long time.
So that was 4 years in a row. But that's when I really started to dive into the food system and the power of nutrition and recovery. And that's how that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I've been studying it since 2008, and I've seen the results in my own body just transform.
So let's talk about this, because during COVID, right, you obviously you have your Minifit business, and we can talk about that in a minute, but you can't run a Minifit business, which is children's fitness when everyone's locked down.
Yeah.
So you studied, right?
Yeah, so I studied nutrition, become a qualified nutritionist.
Who would have thought it? Who would have
thought? You know, I didn't do much study at school, but yeah, and that was really satisfying to do something through COVID, other than homeschooling.
Let's not talk about that. No. Let's just pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, your injuries are more enjoyable to talk about than homeschooling.
Yeah, but become a qualified nutritionist through that period. And yeah, now with Minifit, you know, obviously I run PE programs in schools aligned to the syllabus. A lot of schools outsource their physical activity and PE programs, so we come in and run a 10-week program for lots of schools. I do holiday clinics for kids with the club industry, so RSLs, bowling clubs, leagues clubs, and that's free for any kid that wants to come along through the holidays, which is great. And then now I'm adding in the nutrition workshops, where it's a day with me on a Saturday each month, and I talk to them about my 4 steps, my 4 foundations to nutrition.
And this is the kids, right?
No, the nutrition workshops are adults, and the kids stuff is the PE programs and holiday clinics.
Right. So the nutrition programs, where are you doing those? So if they're adults, do you have like a centre? Or do you move around, or?
At my office at the moment at Piedmont.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're at 100 Harris Street, Piedmont. So I'm holding them there at the moment. First one's coming up this week, and then I'll be doing one a month after that.
Cool.
And yeah, 100%. Come along. I do a lot of speaking on nutrition with the Change Room program. Matt Elliott's a former coach of mine who had autoimmune disease when he coached me in 2012. Actually didn't tell me, but I sensed that he was sort of struggling. I was like, what's going on? He's like, no, I'm just in a bit of pain at the moment. And I started talking about nutrition because I was passionate about it at the time, and I gave him a couple of lectures, and he sort of followed it and reversed his autoimmune disease.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, you know, it's through, and then he started the holistic wellbeing program called the Change Room program, which delivers sort of programs and education to people that are on workers' comp. So trying to get them back into the workforce. And so I do a lot of speaking on nutrition through there as well, which I love, because we see guys transform like you wouldn't believe, like reversing type 2 diabetes, losing 7 kilos in a week, just these amazing stories that come out of it.
It's really interesting. We had a guy on the show last week. I should introduce you to him, actually. He's got a business called Vively. Yeah. And it's a little sensor that sits on here.
Yep.
And you wear it for 2 weeks, a quarter. And it looks at how your body metabolizes. Thank you. Metabolizes everything.
Yeah.
And it's all based around diet. Yeah. And he's of the belief that you can avoid all chronic disease if you have the right nutrition and diet, which is essentially what you're saying here. You're saying 100%. You can't just avoid it, you can reverse it.
Yeah, you can reverse it, yeah. And the thing is, right, so you think about any chronic disease, it's basically what we do to ourselves over a period of time, long time, right?
That's it.
So when you really look into the food system, this is where people don't really understand. They just think it's just calories in, calories out when you're hungry.
Or
right?
one good meal a week and I'm sweet.
Yeah. It's the source of your produce is the most important, right? So if you're eating any animal products, you know, grass-fed and finished beef and lamb, pasture-raised chicken and pork, wild-caught seafood and fish, seasonal fruit and veg, try and get them spray-free, because when you look into the food system, the toxicity that we're consuming from conventional produce is quite shocking, right? So if you add conventional produce that is heavily herbicided or pesticided or grown up on a factory farm, feeding it grain, corn and soy, essentially eating sick animals with lots of herbicides and pesticides from sprayed vegetables.
Can't be good.
And then
You put it like that.
yeah, and then on top of that, you're cooking with toxic vegetable oils and industrial seed oils, which can't stand high heat. And then you're doing that 3-4 times a day, 7 days a week, week after week. And then you're not getting enough sleep, you're not getting enough hydration, not getting enough exercise. It's just the compounding effect. And then years down the track, you come up with an autoimmune disease or a chronic disease, and you go, oh, where did that come from? You know what I mean?
when you list it like that, it kind of sounds stupid. Right?
Yeah.
So let's touch on that for anyone who's watching. Right.
Yeah.
So what are the things to avoid? Because I think, and what are the things not to avoid? In a really, obviously not going to go through them all.
No,
it's insane. But if you've got any advice to people, even if they're going to make small changes.
The number one thing is to avoid vegetable oils.
Right.
Industrial seed oils, because they're rancid in the bottle as it is. And when you heat them up or if you're cooking with them, they create free radicals. Free radicals in our bodies create plaque buildup in arteries and blood vessels.
Yeah.
So it's a slow poisoning effect into cardiovascular risk, chronic disease. And if you look at any type of packet food, 95% of it, if you read the ingredients list, it's canola oil, rapeseed oil, cottonseed oil.
Why is that? Is it cheap?
It's cheap. It's cheap. It tastes like nothing. But some people think it's a healthy oil because it's coming from vegetables.
Well, that's what you would
plants, right? That's you would think. But you know, what vegetable is really oily? They have to really extract these oils out of vegetables with heat and solvents. It goes through like a 16, 17-step processing, and it's all denatured. So they're really high in omega-6 fatty acids. High omega-6, you need a balance of omega-3 and omega-6 and omega-9 to be healthy, but high omega-6s create inflammation in the body. So you just slowly building your toxic load as you get older. And that's
so olive oil, is that the way, right?
Olive oil is great for a raw, fantastic.
Yeah.
You can cook with it, but not on high heat because that does have a smoke point.
Right.
So, you know, the high heat oils that you should be cooking with, a ghee or sometimes coconut oil, or even more natural fats like duck fat, pork lard, all that. And everyone thinks, oh no, they're saturated fats, right? But if they're coming from a healthy animal, first and foremost, then that becomes a healthy cooking oil. And you don't need much of it either. You just need a teaspoon or a tablespoon, and those are the oils that can withstand high heats. So if you get your cooking oils right, and then you get your produce right, so pastured animal products.
Yep.
No, not grain-fed meat on a consistent
So you're saying
basis.
grain-fed is bad?
Bad.
So you wouldn't think that because they put it on the menu. So if they put it on the menu, you think it's got to be good. Otherwise, why would they tell you?
Well, why are they grain-fed beef is, first they finish most of it on grain because it's cheap, but it creates fat marbling. So it creates that flavour, right?
Yeah.
So if you get a grass-fed and finished animal cow, they're much leaner. But obviously the cow is healthier itself, and it has a balance of omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids, which the body needs. So if you keep feeding the cow grain, the omega-6s go way up.
Right.
And it's the same. It's the same in salmon. Or farm salmon, they're feeding it corn, soy, all these pellets of corn, soy, and grain. But what they're squeezing the pellets and using the pellets to bind is all the vegetables and seed oils that get thrown away from cafes and restaurants.
See, most people would have no idea.
No idea. No, that's right. It's just education around looking into your source of your products a lot deeper.
Yeah.
So that's how you can start to clean up your diet. So the source of your products, seasonal fruit and veg, pasture-raised protein, cook with the right oils, get rid of the right oils, and then you can start to add in bone broth or collagen powder and fermented foods, and those things there will keep you in good health. There's lots of other things that will give you good health, but that's just a short snapshot.
There you go. Wow. Well, that's probably more than most people would have ever dreamt of learning from watching this. Let's go back to, I want to talk about the future in a minute. Before we do that, I just want to touch back on Minifit. You started Minifit a long time ago. Did you do that when you became a father? Was that what drove that?
No, well, so I always liked working with kids at the Roosters. We hold these holiday clinics and stuff, and it's fun. They keep you young, you're mucking around, you're teaching them skills. So I just registered the name Minifit in 2010.
It's a good name.
Yeah.
It's a really good name.
Thanks, mate. So I just registered the name in 2010. And then in 2012, I realised that schools were outsourcing physical activity, so I just got one school on board just to dip my toe in the water. I was still playing, obviously. And we had a school at East Lakes Public School, and we used to go there once a week and run the program. And then when I retired in 2014, I got introduced to the CEO of Leagues Clubs Australia, and he said, look, the Leagues Clubs and RSLs and bowling clubs, they have to give a certain percentage of poker machine revenue back out to the community each year. So if you can get all your paperwork right and create some foundations and a booklet around health, then there's category 1, category 2, category 3. If you can be compliant in 1 and 2, which I think you should be able to, there's an opportunity there to run clinics for free.
Free for them, yeah.
And I thought that's great because, obviously parents are struggling out there. They want their kid to play sport. They want their kid to be healthy, but sometimes they can't fork out the money. So I went through that process and got approved in category 1, got approved in category 2 as well. So now we run holiday clinics for, say Wentworthville Leagues and Mounties and Breesby Workers Club, all these clubs that spend money on community, which they do every month. And I hold clinics for the kids, and we get 200 kids there in a day, and awesome. It's great. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's the part I like, that they come for free, and the club's putting it on, and it's a good community feel.
And your training, we've talked about this a few times.
Yeah,
I still haven't tried it yet because it looks really hard. But your training that you do now is very different to the training you did younger, right? A lot of it's around balance and things that I look at and go, I'm not sure I'm going to. But give us a little touch on where that's come from and where the philosophy of that is now. And
well, I started, my first ever sport was gymnastics.
Oh, didn't know that.
So my brother is 18 months younger than me. He started league at 6, but I wasn't really interested in league at the time. Yeah,
jeez,
I wasn't interested in the league at the time, and we had my auntie's sister who was a gymnastics coach at Macquarie Fields, and I just went along one day and fell in love with tumbling and trampolining. And I was going to state for tumbling and trampolining, and going to state for long distance running, athletics. And then when I was 10, or at primary school, our friends said, we're going to join the local rugby league team, Liberal Catholic Club, come down. So I said, okay, all right, I'll give it a go. But the strength and the fitness that I had built up through gymnastics and long distance running was perfect for rugby league.
Interesting.
Yeah. And 6 years later, I got signed to the Roosters.
But you're doing a lot of that now, though, right?
Yeah. So that's obviously when I was playing league, I wasn't a big guy. I had to keep muscle bulk on it. But when I retired, I really jumped into the calisthenics, gymnastics.
That's the word.
I
didn't want to say it. I already stuffed up the other one earlier.
So I jumped into that, and I was doing that 5 days a week to start the day. But now, obviously, Azura's school, and I do lots of school drop-off and pick-up, so I vary my training.
How long does that take in now, drop-off? It seems to be taking a lot longer than it used to. Traffic's gone nuts.
Traffic has gone nuts. But I don't mind the drive with Azura each morning. It's the best, I love it. But, we'll be in the area shortly. But so I vary my training. I'm into tennis at the moment, so I'm trying to do tennis once a week. And then if I'm out of the school program, I'm doing, 20 to 25,000 steps a day. Yeah. And then I've been mixing it up and training with Aaron at his studio. And then I've been using the stadium quite a bit because I've been a member there for years.
Me too.
And
how good is it?
It's fantastic.
I love it. I'm in there 4 times a week now.
Yeah, it's great. Awesome. You finish off with an ice bath and a sauna or infrared.
I did 7 minutes in that ice bath the other day.
Solid.
It nearly killed me. So, it's painful, isn't it? Well, I don't know how you guys do that after every game.
If you do it every day, you get used to it, and it's easy. But if you haven't done it in a while, it does become hard.
I was nearly crying.
But 7 minutes it's pretty good. Yeah, so that's sort of I varied up, and also my core stability training is almost every day. Yeah, so I've had 3 back operations. Like it's after dinner, I just jump on the Swiss ball and I just do some core, or I just do some stretching, or unwind the spine. Yeah, I do that most nights.
Okay,
and I'm in a routine with that.
What's next now? You've got a lot going on. You've transformed from professional sportsman to numerous businesses you're running. Yeah. Some of them free, some of them you've got your nutrition thing, which is relatively new. You're starting that now.
Yep.
Where do you go from here?
Well, we've got another little thing in the pipeline, the massage guns.
Oh, the massage gun.
And we've got one coming out called the Mini Gun. You like that? That'll be out shortly. So minigun.com.au if you want to have a quick snapshot look at it. Yeah, so we've developed a metal frame.
Is it mini?
Gun. It is mini. It's tiny, it's powerful, and it's metal. It's not plastic like the rest of them. And it'll definitely rival the Theragun. That's how good it is. So I'll be getting that out shortly.
You're going to have to come back on the show with one.
I know. I'll bring one in for you.
You're going to have to.
For sure. Let's do that.
Take one down the stadium.
Yeah, definitely. But that's in the works. I'm like,
That's exciting. That'll be like a retail product, or will it be sold more to therapists?
No, it'll be retail. We've been speaking to a couple of big box stores at the moment, and maybe on Amazon as well. We're just working out the whole marketing plan at the moment. So
we'll make sure we announce that when you launch it.
I'll let you know. That'll be great. That'll be great. Yeah, so always something that I'm working on because I love to be busy. So it's good fun.
It's awesome, mate. What a story! What a I love the transformation story. It's not that it was, you've gone from two very different lives, but successfully managed to do both. And they're very different, right?
Yeah.
And they had a hell of a lot of pain in your back all the way through.
Yeah.
And any pain in the back now? You good?
No. So 3 years ago, I had a disc replacement.
I remember that. I remember when you had that.
And a fusion done at L5S1, which is the lowest disc. And it's like I got a brand new back. I remember going in actually and seeing the surgeon because I'd seen 3 surgeons. So I wanted to make sure I'd get this plumbing right.
I saw you at a charity event just before you went. Well, the Ribs and Red or something it was. I think
that's right. Yeah. So Mark Winder at St Vincent's was the guy I went with. He was awesome. But I showed him my MRI, and he was like, "Mate, all the rest of your discs look fantastic. All the tissues around there look great." He goes, "You'll breeze through this operation." I said, "How do you know?" He goes, "Mate, without even looking at you, I'm just looking at this, and I know that you train, you look after yourself, and you eat well." And he goes, "Mate," and he was right. I breezed through the operation. It's the best operation I've had. But going back to that MRI, when I retired, I MRI'd my spine again because I felt great. Right? I felt like I had no back pain anymore, and I compared my 2007 image when I was all black.
All black.
All of them were white again.
Incredible.
Except the ones that were both operated on because they've been tampered with, but all the rest of them were white again. And, I had professional doctors saying, it's pretty hard to read one, let alone all of them. Yeah. So then that's how I got really passionate about nutrition because I seen my body transform and repair itself, from that. So that's why I like to get it out to people.
100%. That's very good.
Yeah.
Mate, it's been great to have you on.
Thanks, Steve, mate.
I've learned a few new things, which is good. And look, we'll definitely pump that gun out when you get it out. Can you get it in any colour?
Well, it's black and grey at the moment.
We have a lot of blue in Nudge. I'm not sure if you can see. There's a lot of blue around.
So I like the set.
We'll have to get a blue one done. We can get a Nudge one.
Done.
We can
Edition,
give it a Nudge mini gun. That all works perfectly, right?
Sounds great. I know it does.
Mate, thank you for coming on. And awesome. We'll get you back. Don't worry.
Beautiful. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys, for coming on watching the show. Please subscribe. And look, if you want to reach out to Mini about any of his businesses, just let us know. Thanks.